Hi, I'm Josh Kervin. Welcome to another Death Battle prediction video. But first, Solid Snake versus Sam Fisher. As some people know, I released a reaction video where I filmed with my friend my reaction to the fight as it was happening. So those of you who saw that, you kind of know how I reacted. But there were some lag issues with the video itself. So I'm still looking to re-upload it eventually when I figure out the issue. I'll probably have to republish it and all of that stuff. So I guess just stay alerted on my channel and it'll probably be up eventually again. But for those of you who didn't see that, I guess I can recap for now. Basically, I liked the fight. The fight animation was probably my favorite animation out of the whole series. That being said, is probably one of the more accurate portrayals of the characters. Especially in regards to Sam Fisher's side. Snake, they hit with a Nerf bat so much he became LARP legal. They didn't give him any of his weapons, and they portrayed him as being peak human when he's actually taken on feats that are massively hypersonic and crazy durability. Overall, they did exactly what they needed to with this fight to make it an actual fight. Because as it stands, their reasoning is sound on why a human with Snake's loadout would win against Sam Fisher. Apart from that, honestly, the biggest thing that needs mentioning is the fight itself, which was, it was absolutely fantastic. It was the best fight choreography that we've gotten out of any of the 3D animations. The only one that came close is Deadpool versus Deathstroke, which, the results kind of fucked over in most people's eyes. Beyond that, though, it was just fantastic. The knife segment at the end was absolutely astounding. The soundtrack, which was Divine Entity from Digital Devil Saga 2, was a great pick. It felt like the climax of one of those awesome 90s action movies. The outside help, so it were, didn't bother me in the slightest because it's the most accurate way to portray those characters, as it's very rare that they are without their comms. So even though some people complain that it's outside help, in the end, both Grimm and Otacon didn't do much, especially not against anyone but each other. Otacon's only thing that he really did was take out Grimm. Grimm was honestly more helpful in the field. She was actually the one telling Sam that Snake's suit was powered by electricity. Beyond that, I actually quite like the reasoning behind their the nanomachines and solid eye not breaking. I quite like the rationale behind that. Beyond that, though, the only thing that needs to be said is that Snake failed in his mission, because the EMP would have taken out the data on that thing. So, in the end, his mission was failed, but he looked like a badass doing it. Okay, so next match, we have Darth Vader versus Dr. Doom. Another Marvel fight. That's not to be said that I don't like Marvel or anything like that. I absolutely love Marvel stuff. I just think they need to spread the love a little bit. Within a little bit of time, we had... we went Iron Man versus Lex Luthor, straight into Goliath versus Beast, so Marvel into Marvel. Then we had our one episode break with Snake versus Sam Fisher, and now we're going straight back into Marvel for Doctor Doom versus Darth Vader. That being said, this is actually a pretty cool fight. It's one of those fights that everyone wants to see, even if it is a slightly one-sided fight. For this fight, there's going to be a lot of power scaling necessary, because with Doctor Doom being the character he is, most of his feats come down to he survived this or he hurt that. So a lot of his stats actually come down to pretty hefty power scaling. Otherwise, he's literally shit tier. There's very little that he would have to rely on besides standing up against other characters. So let's hop right into it then. And I'm actually going to start with things like abilities, oddly enough, because it's kind of most important with this fight how abilities are going to interact with each other. So we'll start with the Force, which is Darth Vader's main weapon in this fight, because no, his lightsaber is not going to be that much of a factor. With the Force, the main thing that Darth Vader has is his telekinetic abilities against objects. He's done things such as crushing X-Wings and like throwing them into space. What other stuff has he done, really? He's moved large objects, and he should be scalable to Starkiller, who managed to divert I believe an Imperial destroyer from space that was crashing. He managed to divert it from falling on him decently well, so that is a pretty solid feat. So a really strong telekinetic ability. He also has several abilities based around mind attacks. He can focus on telekinetic properties of inside people, such as one time when he interrogated someone in the comics, he started to basically do force choke on their heart. And honestly, though, that's one main thing with this fight, is Darth Vader himself does not have many central abilities. He has his Force precog, which is kind of innate for all Jedi and Sith in general. Any Force-sensitive people will innately have precog beyond their own comprehension. But really, it can only go so well as calculated, which I believe is something relativistic. I don't think it's up to FTL. Other than that, though, Darth Vader's Force attacks are Force push, Force pull, the standard fare for pretty much any Jedi. It's just his skill and mastery in using them. His experience is pretty high, as when he was Anakin, and he was a shitty actor at the time. So that's one thing that he doesn't have, but he has now. So it's all good. Back when he was Anakin, he used a lot of really fast lightsaber techniques, and as the comics have gone to show, those haven't gone away. He's still just as fast, even if the movies with Darth Vader haven't portrayed him as being an extremely quick lightsaber fighter. So he is still a huge master of lightsaber combat, and lightsabers themselves have a damage output of, honestly, I wouldn't put it beyond town level maybe for damage output, which is going to be an issue here. Darth Vader's armor has actually done some pretty good defensive feats. Like, it took a full-on blast from an AT-AT, which destroyed the facility that Darth Vader was in. In terms of speed, I've already gone into the relativistic nature of the precog, which in turn enhances his reflexes, making it so he can act based on the precog. In terms of raw strength, he hasn't shown very much in terms of actual physical strength, but all of it comes from his mastery over the Force. And really, that's pretty much it that you can talk about with Darth Vader. He doesn't have a lot of direct feats, because he just hasn't had that much publication time. He's had a lot of time since his creation, but he hasn't had that much screen time or anything like that. Most of his stuff was pretty limited, in honesty. Most of the movies were based around Luke. And then most of the stuff based around Anakin becomes moot, because even then his weaknesses become that he is susceptible to electricity, both against Starkiller and Emperor Palpatine. Both of them where electricity was what he screwed him over. So then we go over to Doctor Doom. In terms of abilities, Doctor Doom is absolutely batshit insane for those. He has technology that is rivaling Iron Man, and Iron Man has even stated that Doctor Doom's suit is superior. His magic is rivaling Doctor Strange. In fact, when there was, I believe, some sort of magic tournament thing, the last two people standing were Doctor Strange and Doctor Doom. I'm actually curious if either of them actually have their doctorate degree, because that would be quite funny to see. Well, I know Doctor Doom doesn't because he was a dropout. So either way, Doctor Strange is a massively overpowered being. For Doctor Doom to have lasted anything more than 10 seconds against the guy is absolutely ridiculous. It makes his abilities scale up to at least planet level in terms of just his magic. This also includes some of his barriers, which are enhanced by technology, and his barriers have actually survived abilities from, for example, an Infinity Gauntlets attack from Thanos, which is overpowered as shit. It makes him at the very least planet level, which is why I said that the lightsaber is not going to be a factor here, because no matter how many times Darth Vader hits Doctor Doom with it, that's not going to do anything. So then we have to look at the next couple abilities. Is Darth Vader faster than Doctor Doom? Definitely not, because Doctor Doom has taken on people like the Thing. Who else does he face that's faster than light up in the ass? Galactus. He fought Thanos. In fact, he fought Thor, and Thor is hugely FTL. A lot of the times, the fact that he's a villain and he's faced pretty much everyone and their grandmother or aunt, because I'm pretty sure he's actually fought Aunt May at some point. Pretty much the fact that he's fought everyone means that he gets a little bit of scaling from everyone. The fact that he's taken on people like Thor put massive focus onto his own feats, because there's been several times where Thor will throw his hammer with the intent to kill, and Doctor Doom will react to it and deflect it with his barriers. And what's happened several times against one of his own enemies, Invisible Woman from Fantastic Four, she will try to put barriers and attack him with her own barriers against his, and hers will fail out. She actually has barriers that have planet-level feats. And so that easily makes it impossible for a lot of telekinetic abilities to affect Doctor Doom himself, which kind of rules out a good chunk of Doctor Doom's methods of losing. Because if you're taking away the lightsaber, and you're taking away Darth Vader's telekinetic abilities, all he's got left is mind attacks. And Doctor Doom has countered those too. He's taken mental attacks from Charles Xavier. He's taken mental attacks from the Phoenix Force, and has actually countered and reversed the mental attack. He's taken mental attacks from Invisible Girl again. He's faced so many people at this point that he has direct counters for borderline everything. The only reason he actually loses is because the plot requires that he does. So this is kind of like one of those moments, such as Lex Luthor versus Iron Man, where I'm hoping they don't take his losses against him too much, because he's done amazing things, and the only reason he ever ends up losing is because he has to, because he's Mr. Bad Guy. Not so bad guy, mind you. Beyond that, though, the animation we've seen so far is quite good, and from the second I saw the animation, I was thinking to myself, I will be an angry person if they don't have at least one foot slide in this, and that's where they ended the animation, so I'm very pleased with that so far. Though the animation did seem a bit jerky in comparison, I'm sure it'll definitely be better for the actual release. Beyond that, though, there's not too much else left to say. I'm more curious what the next match will be than anything else, because I'm not particularly invested in either character here. I like Doctor Doom, I like Darth Vader. One of them wins, happy either way. I think that the next fight will actually be Bayonetta versus Dante, because we know for a fact that the next fight will be at SGC, and it will be a massively requested fight. And from the images that Torian has posted, which show one person in heels, and one of them was a massive explosion of electricity in a city landscape, and the quote for it was, interestingly enough, did you get him? Meaning him. So we're either dealing with a guy in high heels fighting another person, which could actually mean Raiden from Metal Gear Rising, but I doubt we're going to jump right into that again. Or it's a male versus female fight. Or Torian was just being sneaky. Either way, we're looking at heels versus someone, so puts a good chance on Bayonetta versus Dante. And the last one was someone looking at... He was saying about how he has to try to come up with a way to blow a hole in a mountain. And that's mountain busting seems easily within the range of Dante and Bayonetta. But we'll jump into that when we see the next episode. So until then, I'm Joshua Curving, and have a good day, everyone.